Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my show Science Thursday. In today's episode we're going to talk about water testers. So let's dive right into it. Now, it does not require mentioning, but I will mention it again. But water is life. There is no two way about it. Now, the biggest problem with water is universal solvent. Basically, it does not care what you put into it, it just accepts it. It's not like alcohol or oil where it has some rejection properties. It flat out accepts everything. Now, that's good for good things, but that's also bad for bad things. Like it will not care whether you mix calcium into it or cyanide into it. It simply does not care. It is a universal solvent that creates the problem. Now, there is another aspect of it. We are learning about this recently, is that agriculture water must also be very high level, simply because that affects our food. So let's say your water contains a little bit of arsenic or some industrial weight which is very toxic. Now your plants will absorb a very little amount of it, that's why they won't die. However, if you start eating it, you will get a deposited side effect of it. It's like cumulative damage. So over time your food will become poisonous without you ever finding it out. So that's why we also have to make sure the agriculture water is very high standard, otherwise we are playing with our lives. And drinking water, that's absolute. I mean, like if you are drinking contaminated water, you have few days to few months to live. So water is life. Then we come to the most critical aspect of it. It's way too complex to understand what the hell is going on with water. Now, why is that? Basically, you have to figure out what is in it. Like, is it calcium? Is it sodium? Is it arsenic? Is it lead? What is it? Like, what's inherently in there? Then you have to understand how much of it, because arsenic, I'm saying there are many bore wells which have a little bit of arsenic in them, but that's not an issue. However, if there is too much of it, that's flat out poison. So you have to understand what is in it, how much of it is in it, then what are the effects. Now there are many things that you don't think about it too much. Let's say there is a little bit of bromium, you don't think too much about it. But what if you are doing ozone treatment, and then ozone plus bromium creates a scenario where you have carcinogenic output. So those outputs are lethal for humans. So again, what are the effects of it? You have to think like multiple steps ahead. Then whatever you do, let's say you mix chlorine or you mixed ozone, you have to think about the byproducts of it. Even with let's say something like UV purification, you are sterilizing the bacterial and virus. That's awesome, but that means that creates a very what you call fertile line. Basically, there are dead bodies that will act as a growth medium for other bacteria and virus for invasion. So you have to worry about byproduct effects. So these things makes very complicated. We have to understand thoroughly what we are talking about water. Like only in recent year we realize like everything is going into our water supply. It does not matter it's coming from rainwater, it does not matter it's coming from deep bore wells, it does not matter it's coming from a river. Everything is contaminated, so we have to thoroughly study it. However, in recent year, advancement in electronics does allow some good tools. Like it's a good starting tools. The first tool we are talking about is total dissolved solids, TDS. Now, total dissolved solids is basically something that is so dilute that you can't see it. Basically, if you take a glass of water, okay, it's transparent, you know it's a quote unquote clean. Now, how clean? This is what it helps us to find out. TDS, basically total dissolved solid. Now, it tells you how much. It has no way of knowing what you are talking about. Basically, it cannot tell you, hey, I think there is calcium in it, hey, I think there is lead in it, hey, there is arsenic in it. It cannot tell what, but it can tell how much. So people have started using this as a very rough guidance tool. Basically, it is used in all sort of medical purposes and basically water treatment plant, where you'll be like, okay, no matter what happens, drinking water should not exceed 500. Now again, I specify this again and again, 500 of what? There is no indication of that. So people are like, even at 500, let's say something poisonous or contamination is there, it won't be lethal to you. So generally drinking water is tried to kept at below 300. Now, do you want it zero? No, simply because distilled water is bad for human. If you start drinking zero TDS water, of course you're not going to die in one day, but over time it will affect directly all your internal organs, because it will basically force a reverse osmosis kind of scenario. Basically your body will start losing things because this water will dissolve it. So that is why we want to make sure TDS is like a safe level. Now the safe level for different people for different reasons are different, because let's say you are suffering from kidney issues, people will tell you, like even your own doctors could tell you, hey, try to drink a water that is like almost as close to zero, so your kidney get some time to heal, for the people who are doing that. But for normal people, people will say generally 2 to 300 is a good zone. Don't even try to achieve 500. Like it does not matter if it's good or not, don't even achieve that. That's the good benefit of this. Now the reason why TDS is becoming so important is because of RO. Now RO can give almost zero TS. Of course, it never reaches that absolute zero, but it gets so close that we have to figure it out. We have to figure it out how much of things we have to mix into it, how much of calcium, how much of whatever you are mixing. Like there are other things that we mix into water, like fluoride, chlorine, or things of that nature that will bring that TDS up. So we have to make sure there is a correct balance, because RO is becoming so prevalent that we have to take this seriously. Before RO, it wasn't like even if we tried, we could not get the TDS to go down. Now we have to make sure we bring it back up. So that is why TDS is a good starting point. It does tell you how much is something in the water. It does not tell you what, but how much. So be aware of that. It will not tell you the difference, but if you have something, let's say below 300, it's more than good enough, even if it's something dangerous. Now of course some poisons are so dangerous that even at 300 it will kill you, but most things are not. Then we come to another something easy, cheap to afford and buy. You can directly buy it from Amazon, is pH tester. Now in this scenario, pH has become a kind of a buzzword for health gurus and all that. You have to understand, pure water is at 7. Just go with it. 7 is pure water. Like pure distilled water should be around 7. Now your stomach has pH of upwards of 2. Now here's the deal, your intestine is what absorbs the water, not your stomach. Stomach will do the digestion, breaking down things, but your intestine is what's basically absorbing it. So drinking water, generally the accepted basically range for drinking water from WHO is from 6 to 8.5. Generally you want to be as close as 7 as possible. Now but again, there is some TDS, something is there, so your pH won't be exactly 7, but you will always be like 6 to 8.5. Now it is very easy to do at home. You can do in your pool water. If you have too much chlorine, the pH level will be too wrong, or if you have something dissolved that is way too reactive, something extreme, you will find it out. So this is also a good testing ground. However, you have to understand this. It will not tell you what exactly is causing that pH level to rise. Now, there are scenarios where even the company that will sell you, they will sell you a small guide where it will be like, okay, if your water is hard, mix sodium acid into it. If your water is this, add chlorine into this. So there are ways to compensate for this. These are very good tools if you have no other precision tool. These are like bulk tools. They are like, okay, it gets the job done, but it will not tell you exactly what's going on. And to give you a context, there are many people who will try to sell you alkaline water as this, like, life-saving thing. Here's the deal: your body has fail-safe on top of fail-safe on top of fail-safe and some extra backup to make sure no matter what happens, your pH level never changes from the outside environment. If you are in a scenario where pH level is changing, you are very close to dying, because you have to be very sick for that many fail-safe to fail. Because you have to understand, we have pH level of 2. Your water is supposed to be 7. Somehow your blood pH level is constantly maintained, simply because there are multiple fail-safes. If you drink very alkaline water, it will only affect your urine, nothing else, because your kidney's job is to make sure that pH level is maintained. So do not fall into that, like, hey, I'm gonna drink alkaline water and it's gonna, like, increase my life, save me from cancer. That's not how it works. I have provided links and videos down below, so please be aware of it. And to give you a rough context, think of it this, like, if alkaline water is good, that by default means acidic water is bad. Coca-Cola can go upwards of 2.4. So it's flat out acid. It is acid, but how the heck you are not dying? If alkaline saves you, that means acid kills you. But why the heck you are not dying? Your body have many systems to make sure your pH level never changes unless you are dying or you have kidney stones. So please be aware of this. This is also a good rough tool that can tell you, like, is something seriously wrong with my water. However, you still need a lab, because all those two tools I have provided, they can help you with certain things. Let's say you have your home RO purifier, that TDS will help you figure out whether your membrane is intact or not, because the company will tell you, hey, right out of the RO, my TDS should be like, let's say 50. And if right out of the RO membrane, the TDS is like 100, that means membrane has been compromised. So you can easily replace it. This is a very good tool. And the systems that have like internal mechanism with TDS system, they will send out an alarm. Hey, I think the membrane has been compromised. Please get it changed. So it is really useful tool. So that's one thing. Then you are talking about pH water. This can easily help you figure out what is wrong with your water. Is your water hard or is your water soft? Is what you have to do in order to get it within safe limit. But none of those method will tell you exactly what's wrong with the water. Water needs a lab. Like literally, you need to have a good lab with a lot of technician to even figure out what's going on with water. Like, to give you a context, in India there is a rules and regulation around drinking water. It's not that hard. However, when you are talking about European Union or some other developing countries, countries, including America and all that, they have very strict laws. Like you have to figure things out to like multiple parts per million. Like they have specific guideline. Lead must be below this, calcium must be below this, or must be above this. So all these things combined, you can't find out using that TDS or pH level. You have to have a dedicated lab to do this. And where people are recycling water to drinking level, like the water would be recycled to drinking level, they have labs continuously running. Like every 4 hours they do testing. So you have to understand, you have to have a lab. All those tools that you see online, they are good starting ground. They're like, okay, from knowing nothing to you know something. But still, if you're really serious about water, if you really want to know, please, if you are worried about your groundwater, take a bottle of it and send it to a lab. They will test it out everything. And because those parts per million, you can't figure it out using home tools. So that is why you still need a lab. However, the consequence of this is very expensive. The amount of people you need to run a lab, like the amount of equipments you need to figure out what's wrong with the water, like in a proper level where you actually know what's going on. Because some of the things are so dilute, you need like very precision instrument to even come close to understanding what the hell is wrong. So we still need labs. That's why I do not think about like, oh, TDS, I know everything, or pH, I know everything. Those are good tools. They are better than nothing. However, you still need to have a lab, access to a lab, if you are doubtful about your water. So this was my presentation about water testing and all that. I hope you liked it, learned from it. In that case, please leave a like. If you didn't like it, don't worry about it. I would urge you to press dislike. I would urge you to press it twice to show me your extra disappointment. And please leave a comment because I reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.